Great games for Week 11 in the NFL. We got your picks here. Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Eagles could decide two divisions, NFC East and AFC North. Let's start off with the Jaguars at the Lions. The Jaguars potentially missing star quarterback Trevor Lawrence against the Lions coming off that tough game against the Texans on Sunday Night Football. This is a position that's definitely ripe for potential letdown, but we think the Lions we truly believe the Lions are the best team in the NFL. Looking at the Chiefs, of course, they are the current kings of the castle, if you will, but the Lions really what they give you on offense, that balance between the run and the pass. Jared Goff is having a great season, but the running option behind that really tough offensive line. You got Gibbs, you got Montgomery, and then all the receiving options. We don't expect Dan Campbell to allow a letdown, so we're going to go with the Lions here, 31-17 at home. The Jaguars really are reeling. We expect that Doug Peterson likely won't make it through the season. Let's jump right into one of the best games of the week. We got the Chiefs at the Bills. This classic AFC playoff matchup we've seen for the past several years. Obviously, it's been a very one-sided matchup. The only game in recent memory the Bills have taken was a controversial offsides play at the end of the game in which Patrick Mahomes went crazy because he was not expecting any one call to go against the Chiefs, heaven forbid. But in this game, we think these teams are so evenly matched. In fact, when we ran our system against this, came out flat even. So we're going to go with a gut here. We like the home team edge. We would not bet this. We think these teams are so evenly matched. We're concerned with what DeAndre Hopkins is going to bring to that already decent Chiefs pass offense, giving Mahomes extra weapons. We like the way Josh Allen has been playing this year. He's been more under control, running the ball. You got James Cook there, but he's thrown far fewer interceptions than typical. That's the one difference between him and Mahomes, and he's kind of controlled that this year. So we're going to lean towards the Bills in this one, 24-21. Again, we're not going to bet it. And before we continue, just a friendly reminder, if you like this video or find it useful, please like it or subscribe and set notifications to get our future videos. We provide weekly NFL picks. We'll be doing our college picks, playoff picks, and we're going to start doing more highlights. Thank you. Next up, we've got the Browns at the Saints. Not too much to like with either of these teams. Dennis Allen's been fired, got a new head coach, and now the Browns, they had Deshaun, lost him for the season. Derek Carr's missed quite a few games. Really not a lot of offensive continuity for either of these teams. Saints also just traded away their best cover corner, Marshawn Lattimore, so definitely throwing in the towel for this season, as you would expect. So with teams like that, you don't really know what they're going to put out, but we're going to lean here for the home team. We think it's a raucous crowd. We've been to quite a few Saints games at Caesar Superdome. It's nuts. We give them the advantage, although it's close. I think the Saints will take this one 24-21. And next up, we have the Vikings at the Titans. The Titans, very disappointing season. Traded away their best receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, so it's clearly in plan for next year mode. Whereas the Vikings are a surprising contender in the NFC North. Great defense with what Brian Flores has done with that unit. Very unpredictable schemes he put out there. And, of course, Sam Darnold having a career season at quarterback. We love the Vikings offense. I think Justin Jefferson will put up some great numbers here. We think this might be closer than people think with the fact that the Titans are at home. And surprisingly, their pass defense is one of the best in the league, at least in yards. Their quarterback rating allowed isn't as great. They might be able to slow down Darnold to create a couple of turnovers to at least keep it close. The Raiders travel to South Florida to face the Dolphins in a game that really is meaningless for both teams. We're at that point, believe it or not, that both teams are effectively out of the playoffs, if not numerically. The Dolphins have the best chance in an AFC that's not all that strong this season. A lot of teams like the Browns, teams like that, they were expected to contend. The Jaguars have not been. And looking at this game also last year, the Raiders actually were double-digit underdogs. Cover the spread, play the Dolphins very close, but this is one of those games. If you follow the Dolphins under the Mike McDaniel era, these are the games that they win. They beat inferior opponents, teams that really don't have much to play for, below average. They'll usually blow them out, and then they lose to good teams like Buffalo. They just simply can't beat the Buffalo Bills. So that we think the pattern's going to continue. We think the Dolphins are going to put up one of those showy offensive games and beat the Raiders here 31-20. Colts at the Jets, and if you have to look at the Week 10 games and look for the dud performances of the week, you got to start with the Jets. Obviously, the Bears are right there, only scoring 3 points at home, really pathetic. And let's not forget about the Vikings only scoring 12 points, even though I think they had like 400 yards of total offense. Inexplicable to not cover the spread. But in this game, I think the Colts have a little bit more on offense. Joe Flacco still hasn't hit his stride, but the Jets are completely lost. They were doing nothing on offense. So really, we're going to look at this one as it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. We think the Colts Colts have the better chance of doing something consistently on offense than do the Jets. So I think the season is over for those guys. Seahawks at the 49ers. As a general football fan, we really want to see the 49ers back at full strength. We were amazed looking at the statistics earlier this week. 49ers are still top five in passing offense, even missing Christian McCaffrey for most of the year, and then Brandon Ayuk, the top receiver. So really, Brock Purdy's doing a better job than I think people are giving him credit for. And then now with McCaffrey coming back, you got that dynamic run-pass balance, and the defense is starting to get a little healthier. The Seahawks, that game against the Rams, we saw one of the worst plays we've seen all season. Geno Smith throwing it into the end zone on first and goal from, we think, the 6. And then ultimately that was a pick six, 103-yard that cost the Seahawks the game. Several other questionable decisions. We think the Seahawks are really from that 3-0 start. They got a long way to go. We think the 49ers win this one easily, 31-17 over the Seahawks. Rams at the Patriots. You have the Rams suddenly contending in a very open NFC West this year with the 49ers not being as dominant as they've been in years past due to injuries. The other side, you see the Patriots clearly rebuilding. Drake May is now your starting quarterback. He's shown some improvement, of course, the typical growing pains of a rookie quarterback. This is one of those weird games. You look at the Rams stats and the Patriots stats, they actually come up fairly even. Patriots have a really good pass defense. I think that might play well against the pass heavy Rams. We think this is an upset spot. We like the fact that the Rams are having to come all the way from LA after a Monday night game. We think they're not going to be really expecting much from the Patriots. We like the Patriots in upset 21-17. Bengals at the Chargers. The Bengals coming off that tough Thursday night loss to the Ravens in which they really got cheated. There were two penalties on that failed two-point conversion. They should have at least had another opportunity. But in the majority of the game, the Bengals defense really just couldn't stop anybody. And the Bengals offense put up great numbers. Joey B was over 430 yards. I think it was at 428 actually. Put up a lot of numbers. We don't think that's going to happen with the Chargers defense. Jim Harbaugh's really got that defense playing great. And now we're starting to see Justin Herbert return to his old Justin Herbert form. Part of that had been mostly a rushing attack. We like the Chargers' balance, but we really love that defense. I think they're going to take care of business here. 27-17 over the Bengals. Falcons at the Broncos. The Broncos had a great start. Bo Nix in his rookie campaign looking like he could make the Broncos a wild card contender. Kind of come back to earth recently, but there's a tough schedule, right, having to play the Ravens and the Chiefs. We look at this team as a team that's 1 year away. We think that they're good, but not good enough quite yet. We think teams like the Chargers and Jets will probably get in the playoffs, leaving the Broncos out, say around the 8 or 9 spot. Falcons will think they have got the NFC South pretty much wrapped up due to the fact that Tampa has so many injuries. New Orleans pretty much done, and Carolina's in the cellar. But in this game, we love the Denver pass defense. We think they're going to confuse Kirk Cousins and slow him down a little bit. We'd like them winning this one narrowly, 21-17 at Mile High. Texans travel to Arlington to face their in-state rival Cowboys. Going into the season, we really expected this to be a great game. Coming off the season the Cowboys had last year, but now with Dak Prescott injured, the defense kind of in shambles. A lot of injuries for the Cowboys. I think the Texans are definitely the better team here. Now they're getting Nico Collins back. The receiving's better. Still have that problem with the offensive line not being able to block, so that could give the Cowboys their one edge if they pressure C.J. Stroud. But we think what the Texans will do is lean on the run because Joe Mixon has really been the difference maker this season. When he's able to run, it gives that offense a dynamic, different gear it did not have last season. So we like the Texans here, 28-30 over the in-state rival and overhyped Cowboys. And next up, we have the Packers at the Bears. This tough NFC North divisional rivalry. Looking at the Packers, we truly believe this is one of the best teams in the NFC when healthy. The problem when they face the Lions, which a lot of people didn't see, Jordan Love had a groin injury in the prior game. Jair Alexander looked like he might be less than 100%. We like the Packers here over the Bears, 21-14. We think the Bears' chemistry issues have really bit them. We wouldn't be surprised if Coach Matt Eberflus did not make it through the season or was fired immediately after. He hasn't done a poor job, but clearly lost control of that locker room, and that makes a big difference. Let's talk about the NFC East, and let's look at the Commanders at the Eagles. Tough matchup with this one. I think the Commanders with that dynamic offense, very impressive, definitely fun to watch. We thought the Steelers would slow them down a little bit more than they did. Steelers ultimately won, but not because of Jaden Daniels. He still put up his numbers. And then we look at the other side of the Eagles. Since A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith has been back, it's been a very dynamic offense with Saquon Barkley running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield, and you have the running threat of Jalen Hurts. We think being that this is in Philly, we think home field is important. We like the Eagles here 28-24 over the Commanders. Ravens at the Steelers in this tough AFC North division matchup. This division has been great, great matchup with the Bengals last week for the Ravens. Both of these teams, you can make the case, had lucky wins. The Steelers getting that great offsides call to preserve the 1 point victory over the Commanders. Great game for them. Might be a little bit of a letdown here with that tough game with the Ravens having the mini bye playing on Thursday. We think that makes the difference. These two teams, regardless of where they play, there's no real home field advantage with this matchup. We see the road team winning all the time. We see it again here. We think this is Baltimore's year to go further. We like them here 28-21. Sorry, Steelers fans. We'll probably pick Pittsburgh when they go to Baltimore. That's all for this time. Thanks for joining. Just a reminder, we put out 2 of these videos per week. This is our initial score projections. As the week goes on, we see the lines, injury reports. We'll update them and give you line picks, then post them on our website as well. Thank you.